Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Asher.
And I'm Porter.
And as we previously announced, we're doing a Q&A about our new movie Conformity, as well as previous film club projects and just film club in general. So a bunch of you have asked questions over social media and Instagram and all that, so we're going to answer those questions now. All right, let's start. Our first question is from Yesenia. She asked, what is Conformity about? Conformity, basically it is about, there's a boy, his name is Will, and he does not exactly fit in. So he's not cool, but he's also not really, a nerd or anything like that. So he really just doesn't feel like he fits in anywhere. So as the movie progresses, we see Will kind of figuring out his identity, and it's just the story about how he progresses as a person.
So this next question is anonymous, and they're asking, when will it be released? Conformity will be released this year, May 1st.
Yes. Our next question is from Francesca. She asked, what was the inspiration behind this film? Well, basically, the inspiration behind this film is the movie The Breakfast Club. It's just a really great movie, and I really like just how it explored kind of the struggles of a teenager, and I really kind of wanted to create something like that.
All right, our next question would be by Anonymous, and it is, what was your favorite scene in the film? My personal favorite scene in the film was when Chet, Emma, and Malcolm are running through the hallway after being caught by a teacher, trying to run to the makerspace or the room that we're filming the rest of the film in. It's just like a good sequential scene where everything comes into place, and it's just, I don't know, I like it. It's a good one.
I enjoyed filming that too. I feel that shot really came out nice.
Yeah, I think Tim really.
I think the
our cameraman.
the window scene at the leading up to it was also really nice.
Yeah, that whole day was a good shooting day. Our cameraman Tim is really great. Okay, our next question is from Mac. And he asked, as the director, how do you balance Conformity and other film club projects with your personal life? That's a good question. As a director, there's a lot of work that I put into this movie, a lot of behind the scenes work that you kind of don't really think about. Besides just writing the script, which I also had screenwriters to help me out with, so it wasn't such a burden. I also had to make shooting sequences, shooting schedules. I had to
mapping out.
Yeah, mapping out where we're gonna shoot. So it was a lot of work, but it was really great, and I kind of stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning doing some of the work sometimes, but it's really worth it. I really enjoy it. So our next question is from Morgan, for all of us, and she asked, in the movie Conformity, which character do you relate with most? So I'll go first. This movie, I don't want to sound too deep or anything, but kind of pulled from my own thoughts. So I relate to the main character, Will. I don't really define myself as any specific, clique or anything. So I come from Will's struggle, and I kind of base that off of myself.
So, I don't think I really are one character. I have different aspects of different characters. Like Will, I don't fit into some different groups or cliques, as Tim said before. But as Emma, I'm sort of like a student who tries pretty hard, but then also isn't like dead set on academic success and things. And then as for Chet, I do have some sports that I do, all those sports. But I just don't fit in for one of them, but if I had to choose one, I think I'd choose Emma. So.
Yeah, she's quirky,
yeah,
weird,
exactly.
Doesn't really care what people think.
Yeah, you're very...
I feel like that's you.
I mean, again, just out of all of them, I think it'd be Emma, but
yeah,
not one specifically.
No, it's Emma.
It's Emma. And for me, I would have to at first begrudgingly say Malcolm. Now, the reason for that, I'm pretty sure, is obvious. I like most of the stuff that Malcolm likes, except I'm not as hyper-focused as he's portrayed in the movie, which is nice. I'm also into outdoor stuff, but there's not really someone for that. So, yeah, I definitely have to say I'm more of a Malcolm than anyone else. Our next question is from Aaron. Who made the logo for Conformity? You did, Aaron. Why are you asking this? we're crediting you at the beginning of the. You did.
What was the motivation to start Film Club? That's by Darian. Hold up. I think the motivation to start Film Club was just everyone being interested in filming and wanting to really learn how to create a feature film, like a film that actually has all of the aspects of a film, from pre-production, post-production, and just production itself. But like, it's like all of the aspects of a long film where everyone gets to do different jobs and everyone gets to see what types of the process they enjoy, you know? So it's like, if you're interested in film in general, it's just like there's something for you everywhere in Film Club, and that's what the inspiration was.
Yeah, if I may interject, also.
No, you won't.
All right. Basically, if you really want to know the exact moment that Film Club was created, Film Club was created for a 20% project in our English class.
Passes for everyone, but whatever.
Yeah. Film Club was also created as a 20% project for our AP Lang class, but you know, it went from being a 20% project to just so much more, as Porter said.
Yeah, it wasn't like the 20% project was an idea, but it really became like a full-fledged process.
It's completely evolved.
It's more than just a school club at this point.
Yeah, it's not.
We're like a legitimate like company, and
yeah,
we do a lot of
we have our own
outside stuff.
branding,
And
you know,
everything.
exactly. Yeah. It's really evolved.
Okay. So going off of
Yeah.
you know, that conversation about outside projects and whatnot, this question's from Greer, and she asked, "Do we have any upcoming plans for Carmel FIlm Club?"
Yes.
So yeah, what has been your favorite project so far? And I have to say, guys, it's definitely The Bigger Fish. Just the entire series, the epic that is The Bigger Fish. I don't know. From the very beginning, it was just like a little idea of something that we were doing for our film class, and then from there, it just expanded and expanded, and now it's going to be a four-part series. You know, I just it's great. I love it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
gotta be great.
it's really fun to make.
It's a pretty fun one to make, guys.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also great to watch. Check it out on YouTube.
Carmel FIlm Club.
All right. Our next question is from Ellen. She asked, "What is your favorite movie?" So I guess we're gonna do this all three of us. So for me, all right, this is a difficult one. Now, like I said, I really love The Breakfast Club. It's just, you know, I liked more the acting of The Breakfast Club than anything else. I'm also a huge fan of 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. That movie is just, it's phenomenal. The first time I watched it, I was blown away. I really especially loved how they use classical music as their entire soundtrack, and I just think that's a really cool change. And it was for 1968. I think that was pretty great.
Yeah.
I also like Pink Floyd, The Wall. You know, even though it's a rock movie from a band, it's a phenomenal, great movie. Amazing cinematography. You know, a lot of thought was put into that. And then of course, I think Porter can agree with me on this one, is the series Lord of the Rings. It's just, man, I have no words for that. That's just like, I've been watching that since I was like 5, and I've watched that series about like 100 times, and that's just the best.
All right, I'm gonna comment on what you said with The Breakfast Club. I mean, I've only watched The Breakfast Club like twice maybe, and the acting is great. But what I really admire about the film in general is like how low a budget and how few actors they really had for this movie, and it still came out to be one of the most absolutely best movies of all time. Like,
Iconic.
Yeah, iconic, exactly. It's such a great movie, and they did it with so little that, I mean, it was just an inspiration for the club because, you know.
Yeah.
And then for my movies, I'm gonna have to choose a movie that was a bit controversial, and I'm gonna have to say King Arthur is one of my favorite ones.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I mean, of course, guys. I mean, King Arthur, it got horrible. Shut up, Asher. It got horrible reviews, and no, I hated Aquaman. All right, I'm sorry. It got horrible reviews, but like, the visual of it was so pleasing. You know, it was just like every scene had a perfect visual moment to go with the action, and the plot wasn't the best per se, but the acting was great, and each sequence had its own like distinct feel, and I loved that. And then Star Wars trilogy, guys.
Oh yeah.
And
Original
I
trilogy.
say trilogy because it's the original trilogy. I mean,
Prequels are also great.
the prequels are pretty great. I grew up on the prequels, but the original trilogy, I mean, you just can't beat it, guys.
Again, yeah, there's this behind the scenes, like, film about the making of Star Wars with George Lucas, and I mean, this is like a little film nerd moment, but like, honestly, that was so cool to watch that, because just seeing the whole process, especially as, you know, producers and
it
like
was so
ourselves.
early. It was the 70s.
George Lucas is just such an
creative.
It's
so
such
creative.
it's insane to watch the thought process.
I mean, his creative process was so different than anyone back then, and it really,
definitely.
it sparked like everyone's imagination and everyone's interest, and that's why it's such an iconic film. It's like, who doesn't know Star Wars? Who doesn't know Darth Vader's line saying "I'm your father"? You know, it's just like what George Lucas has created is just something absolutely special.
So for me, I am a huge Stanley Kubrick fan. So my top 2 favorite movies, my first one is Full Metal Jacket. I think it's a beautiful character piece on the horrors of war, and I think it's one of the most realistic war movies I've ever watched. I think the way it portrays its characters and their emotions and the way it deals with trauma and stress is just so beautiful, and I think it all culminates into one of the best film endings of all time. And I'd have to say my second one, like Tim, is 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think the book series was great, but Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of it was just a complete recreation of what we think of when we think of humanity. It's beautiful, it's gaudy, it has amazing visuals, and being shot on a 40mm reel. When it was re-released, it's been re-released in 4K. So he planned for this to be upgraded over the years, and I think the fact that it explores humanity as a whole and what it means to be a human, and the challenges that's there, and with the HAL 9000, I think that's the perfect analogy for just oppression and what happens when you're confined and not allowed to think outside of the box. I think Stanley Kubrick is brilliant, and I love most of his movies are in my top 10 favorites.
Yeah. Also, that movie, the cinematography in that is just absolutely
gorgeous.
stunning.
The set that they had to build for the walking,
the
walking in the circle,
the walking circle set.
Oh yeah, just there's so much thought and creativity put into it.
It was like every one of his projects. It was a passion project, and I didn't have a moment where I didn't enjoy it.
It won the Oscar for best cinematography, and I don't know what year.
I mean, deservingly, it was.
Yeah.
The color contrast and the visual appeal is just.
And even today, if you watch the original release, it still looks amazing. But when you look at the 40mm re-release for the 4K adaptation, it's phenomenal. You can see exactly what they saw, and I'm in love with that movie.
Yeah,
it's really great.
Ideal equipment by Anonymous. So we actually use a Panasonic GH5 camera, which is pretty great camera. It films in 4K, yeah, exactly. So we can expand and stretch things if we have to, as we're, exporting it into 1080p. And then for our mic, we use an NTG4 Plus. It's a shotgun. I mean, it's a boom mic. I lied. Just kidding. It's a boom mic. Yeah. I'm using it right now. It's right there. It's great.
Yeah. We through funding with the school and grants and stuff, we can get some really great equipment here, and it's just really awesome to be able to work with
actual equipment.
And
good equipment.
Expect just the quality of our work to keep improving with
as the equipment improves.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, the past few pieces we've done have been with our lesser equipment, and now we've been upgrading. So you can expect some much better, just all around much better equipment.
Right.
And with the new equipment comes new knowledge, so we get to learn new things about it.
So effects, all that. So yeah, stay tuned. All right. So then this next question is also from an anonymous. When did you get into film? For me and Porter and I have been we've been making these really great independent films, little things since like 5th grade.
No, I'm gonna say
fifth grade. Yeah, 11 years old. Let's see, our first film together, actually, that's a little debatable. Our first film could have been, I believe, the science fair film that we made for our project. That was pretty cool. And then our first actual like movie we made was, you know, we might want to resurface that at some point. It's this really great choreographed sword fight between Porter and I, because we're both really into fencing and sword fighting.
I'm a fencer.
Porter himself is a fencer. Asher's not.
I am not at all.
But yeah, that film it's.
I mean, that was the first experience we had with actually like filming something and choreographing things. I mean, it was just like
Shot on an iPhone camera.
Yeah, it was shot on an iPhone camera. My father, and it's just like
40 minutes.
We didn't know what we were doing exactly, but from that moment, I think we wanted to continue doing things with a camera and with choreography and with just film in general. I mean, that was just
look where we are now.
Exactly, you know. From there, we did a few more after that, and then a few trailers, and then here we are, you know. So.
So I'm a bit different from these two in the way that I got into film. I'm an actor, so when I was 5, I started acting, and I've just been continuing to act ever since. So while these two are more into the directorial aspect of it, I'm more into the hands-on aspect, such, you know, acting. I mean, easiest way to say it. In Film Club, I'm the head of the acting department, so I'm in charge of helping vet some of the people who are going to be in our projects, and I think so far we've done a really good job at that. I think we have really good actors.
We've got some great actors who have just kind of come from like,
club in general. Yeah.
It's great, and so I am interested in producing and directing, but I'd have to say my passion definitely lies in acting.
This is the question that I know many of you are wondering
I'm
about.
asking myself this too.
So, yeah, here we go. I can't wait.
Julia, thank you, Julia. We're gonna have a word after this.
Right out there, so we'll start right after this.
What was your thought process behind caffeine? So we received an or a direct message on Instagram from the.
That was an email. It was like
it
it was an actual invitation.
No, it was
an
both.
invitation.
They followed us.
Yeah,
they
both.
followed us.
But yeah,
it was from the what was it?
A coffee art project.
Yeah, coffee art project. Very, very esteemed. And so they email us 2 days before the deadline, and they say, we've seen your videos on your Instagram, and we watched some of your YouTube videos. We'd like for you to make an entry and participate. And so
they had a film contest.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we were kind of restricted into making this because the contest itself was make a short film about coffee. So we were pretty limited in what we could do.
And again, it was 2 days before.
And it was 2 days before, so we did the best we could.
He read the email. He sent me a text, and I looked at the requirements, and on the bus ride home, I wrote a rough draft of the script, and I'm very bad with angles. Like, I know what I want them to look like, but the names I'm just awful with.
All right.
So the rough script is, I believe, quite obviously what we ended up using.
I'd like to defend you, Asher. All right, he did it on the bus ride home with a rough script. Okay, Tim wasn't there, so we were missing a member.
I got ridiculously sick that week, so I literally was not present for any of the
Asher did not know all of the shots and how this was like at the very beginning of the year when Tim and I started taking the film class, and Asher didn't take the film class, so he didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
But he was the director because he wrote the script, right? So he didn't really know exactly what he was doing. We tried to like give him something, but again, Asher did what he could.
It's impossible when you have nothing to work with, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, without a member. Oh, but they also extended the deadline. Like after we completed the project.
Yeah, so it was.
And then we just weren't able to like refilm anything.
And it was freezing out when we were doing this. So it not only was it rushed due to the time limit that we had, but it was rushed because one, it was getting dark out. 2, it was absolutely freezing. We could barely move any of our fingers.
And I'm not an actor.
Yeah, we had 2 people. We would have to run in front of the camera to do it.
Yeah, the camera's on a tripod because I was sick, so we did not even have a cameraman for that. So
it was pretty great.
This was two acting, 1 director, 1 editor, no cameraman.
Basically,
project.
anything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Did go wrong. Yep.
And I think, however, all 3 of us are interested in sometime later down the line revisiting it.
Rewriting
it and making it watchable.
You know, I think it wasn't. It was pretty good the way it ended up, but we're
I think that was just
definitely
due to
thinking
the editing
of.
and music choice, though. I don't think that was due to anything.
Thank you. That was all me. Yeah, the music really pulled it together. Once again, drawing upon my love of Pink Floyd. But yeah, we're definitely thinking of doing a relaunch of Caffeine at some point because it's an interesting idea. And
maybe
you know,
maybe we could do it with less restrictions.
not everybody gets surreal film, so you know.
And you know, we were heavily restricted, but in remaking it, we wouldn't be as restricted. We would be able to use brands and logos and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate, this was at the very beginning of our experience during this.
Oh,
so
this was our first. We thought.
Don't hold us
this
against
was
this.
major.
Don't hold us against that.
This was major for us because this was a company.
This was our debut film.
Yeah.
So it was.
And you know what? It's pretty successful.
I mean, it has the most views out of everything. So
Yeah.
I mean, even if it is a comedy-ish thing,
yeah.
I mean,
over
exposure.
people watched it. So
over 100 views.
Yeah,
right.
that's really.
So yeah. Actually, Asher, I would like to hear though, like, exactly your thought process behind the script. The actual writing. What happens? Because to this day,
We don't
I
actually
still
know.
don't understand what Caffeine is about.
And I'm going to tell you, there really is no meaning to it. I was thinking to myself, how can I incorporate coffee into anything? I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. I just don't. I hate coffee.
Use coffee?
We didn't use.
Yeah,
we used coffee beans.
One little thing. I don't know if you guys remember, but the last shot when it zooms into the cup of coffee, that's hot chocolate because Asher didn't want to use coffee.
I don't like coffee. I don't get how you drink it. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: caffeine's not about caffeine.
Not at all. It's the underlying cruelty of the hot chocolate industry.
But yeah, so what was your actual thought process behind the script? Like, who were you supposed to be? Who was he supposed to be?
I was thinking of the surreal dream sequences from movies, like surreal scenes from things like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, or just anything with just an insane dream sequence or insane sequence.
No, I get that. Yeah.
And so I wanted to do an entire movie around that. So the plan was to have someone study. Originally, I didn't want him to act. I wanted someone else, but this was just the beginning, so we had no actors. I decided that it would be about a student who's studying for an AP Psychology exam, and the unit was on energy and how to stay awake. So there was things like drugs and all, but caffeine. So you eat coffee and all that was also a big part of that. So I read an excerpt from that.
It's the most commonly used.
Right. And since didn't drink coffee, the character fell asleep and had a weird fever dream of just some weird guy in a suit. I wanted it to be more
odd.
Yeah, I wanted it to have some underlying meaning, but that it's just impossible when you're working with coffee. So
yeah, leave something in the comments if you know how to somehow make a profound theme out of coffee.
Yeah.
But I think it came out pretty good.
No, but all right.
I think at the end, it's going to be a good hurdle to overcome.
Oh yeah. Well, that's all the questions that we got. So, thank you guys for sending your questions, and we really appreciate all the love and support that you guys give us. So yeah.
And if you'd like to get involved with Film Club, we do meet at the Makerspace from 2 to 4 every Friday.
Yep.
We have a remind. We'll link that in the description.
Yeah.
We'll link that remind in the description. You can follow our Instagram at Carmel FIlm Club and subscribe and like. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Our new movie, Conformity, as we said, is coming out May 1st. You're going to be seeing a lot more promotion for that.
We have a
teaser and a trailer, both dropping.
And a logo.
At some
Thank
point.
you, Aaron.
Oh,
Again.
yes. Our
Thank you.
wonderful logo. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah. So, yeah, stay tuned. Thank you all for watching.
All right.